Our panel during these sessions will consist of both resident experts from TNA and industry leaders. So you will have the opportunity to hear not just from TNA, but more importantly from leading food and snack brands. All our roundtables have been designed to be interactive, so we encourage you to participate by asking questions. You can even share your feedback. So you can submit a question anytime during this roundtable by using the chat function. So just click on the chat icon on your screen and enter your question, or you can even raise your hand and we'll unmute your microphone. So we'll answer some of the questions as we go along and maybe take some of them at the end of the session, but we'll make sure that we go through all the questions. We've received some questions in advance, so I will be posing those to the panelists on your behalf at the beginning of this session. We could even poll our audience for a question or two. So if you see the pop-up polling question, please follow the prompts to respond. Like Michael said again, that we're recording this session and it'll be available on the TNA Connects platform. So if you have any colleagues who've missed out today, or you know of someone who would be interested in the discussions, you can direct them to this platform to access not just today's sessions, but all our recordings. At this point, I'd also like to call your attention to several resources that are available that are relevant to the discussions that we'll have today. So you'll find a mix of white papers, videos, and other educational content located on the TNA platform. And with that out of the way, let's get to the most important part. I'd like to introduce you to our panelists today who will be discussing how to keep food and snack brands competitive by increasing output. We have with us Terry Johnson, who is our Vice President for North America, Joaquin Sanchez, who's Solutions Engineer for TNA North America, Jack Newman, who's Regional Sales Manager again at TNA North America. And we have a very special guest, Bill Quick, President Richmond Baking. Bill, thank you for taking time out and agreeing to be part of the discussions. I'm sure that our audience is eager to hear your insights. I'm going to start with the questions that we received in advance. Terry and Joaquin, if I could address the first one to you, please. We could start with you, Terry. Most customers view distribution or conveying solutions as an add-on when purchasing other equipment. But why, according to you, should it be a primary or a critical consideration in food production?
That is a good question, Bindu. Thank you, and welcome to everyone. I'm glad to be here, sharing some thoughts and ideas with the team. So distribution, it is often overlooked as being just something that conveys product from point A to point B, but really it's essential to maximizing the overall efficiency of the line and the output if it's integrated correctly. So by considering all of the factors, whether you want to do storage, how much sanitation is going to be needed to clean it, what's the capital budget, how many pounds an hour do we need to be producing, food manufacturers can choose the best distribution method that supports their products, the function, and delivers the quality, the value, the safety, and all of the outputs that they require.
Thank you for that, Terry. Joaquin, would you like to add to that?
Yes, thank you, Bindu, and welcome everybody. Yes, the right solution is critical for the food manufacturers when they need to transfer product through the plant in a way that it would add value. So integrating the solutions makes the transfer more consistent, so product moves faster. Machines also would run longer, and companies will see more reliable workflows as their food goes out the door. So selecting the right distribution system can increase, really an output by about 30%, and maybe also reduce the waste associated with these costs by about 25%. So the right solution is very critical at this stage.
Yeah, thank you for that. So taking off from what both of you just said, having made that decision to invest in conveying solutions, how do snack or food manufacturers arrive at what are the best distribution solutions for their operations?
Yeah, Bindu, that's an interesting decision process. And as you think about that up front, maybe you consider just the capital cost, or really consider just the product or the function that you want to achieve. But I think total cost of ownership, it comes into play here, like it does for any integrated piece in the line. And that should include the consideration of software control, flexibility, how simple are the mechanics of a system. Those really provide the really cornerstone foundation for those distribution and conveying systems. For example, TNA's RowFlow HM conveyor uses a slow forward horizontal motion to transfer product and a quick return horizontal motion. So this conveying surface, or pan as we call it, can moves product either in a forward or a backward direction. So we can go in both directions. And the patented TNA liftaroo and switcheroo also enable easy change of product flow. So you're not limited to one direction flow in a distribution. And that flexibility opens up the door to a much more efficient use of floor space, much more easy conveying on the product. And the video that we're watching shows an example of that. So we're distributing to a couple of different points in the forward direction. And then you can see the pans will switch directions and then lift. And then product can be conveyed in the reverse direction. So it just gives a lot of flexibility if you're trying to pull product from multiple processing lines into multiple packaging lines.
Thank you for that, Terry, and that was an interesting video. Joaquin, would you like to add something to what Terry said?
Yes, so as Terry mentioned there, the HM is a product line that we offer. It is a horizontal motion movement of product, but we also have because it is crucial for food manufacturers to select the pans that work best for their product. And there's going to be an instance where a pan with that motion may not be the right solution. So for that, we have what's called VM conveyors, or VM3. It is a vibratory motion, okay? That's an option that you can choose from. So this vibratory motion can easily or very control by an operator the speed of flow of your product, and it can control the balance and distribution of a line as it runs through your system. So choosing the correct product for your plant is necessary, and we would consider that in your line. A VM conveyor sometimes, for instance, if you have seasoning, can shake the sugar off. So you might want an HM conveyor. But if it's a gummy or a sticky product, then you would choose you couldn't choose an HM because it would stick. So you would choose a VM conveyor. So we have the two options based on what your product line is, and you can choose from. So we offer that complete solution.
Yeah, so we can offer customized solutions as well. And so we've been talking about what solutions work best. But Terry, is it true that conveying systems can also improve the efficiencies of your other line equipment as well?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Bindu. And packaging efficiencies are often the kind of the lowest hanging fruit. You think about how do you make scales work better, and so that they feed the bagger more effectively and you get more output and accurate output. And one of the nice things about the proper conveying system is that it can help with that. So a fully integrated RowFlow VM feeding a multi-head weigh scale can improve your packaging speeds and the accuracy by as much as 6%. And that's really done by precisely feeding the scale the right amount of product at the right time.
Thank you, Terry. That's impressive and insightful both. Which brings me to the importance of product handling, which is an integral aspect of food production. And I'd like to direct the next few questions to Bill Quigg and Jack Newman. Bill, as I said earlier, is the president of Richmond Baking, and Jack is a regional sales manager at TNA North America. Bill, could you start by telling us why smart distribution matters, particularly in your business?
Well, Richmond Baking being a company that's over a century old, fourth generation family business, but key to this conversation, we're a contract manufacturer. And so the real key to our business is flexibility. And when we think about really efficiently distributing our products to our packaging systems, it's absolutely critical because we don't know 2 years from now, 3 years from now, exactly what products we're going to make. And so there's a constant balance between speed, efficiency, cleaning the line, breakage. All these factors are really at play as we're trying to design our distribution system. And so having a balance of those different things for different products is really been critical for us.
So keeping all those business objectives in mind that you have, how has TNA stepped in to help your business stay agile? I'm not talking just, with the short-term challenges that have been posed by COVID, but any other obstacles that you think that could arise in the long term?
Well, so we've been doing business with TNA for probably well over a decade now, and really the different systems that we have put in have allowed us to do the balance of the flexibility and the cleaning, as I was mentioning. So and Terry was talking a minute ago about horizontal versus the vertical motion systems and those sort of things. And so we actually have a combination of those because there may be some products that we make that really need a high throughput and output, whereas other products are very fragile. So we may make a really thin cracker, which actually we're starting up one today on a new product launch. And we had never actually made a cracker that thin before 2 weeks ago. And our customer, Fortune 500 company, was very pleased because our breakage amounts were so low, but we were able to also achieve the high throughputs because of the combination of being a vertical and horizontal motion system. So all these factors are constantly in play. And so what TNA has allowed us to do is really evolve our systems over time as product mixes change and as technologies improve, quite frankly.
Thank you for that, Bill.
Well, I'll just jump in for a second. Bill's absolutely right. He mentions flexibility, and if you go back to what Joaquin was talking about, what Terry was talking about, one of the nice things about our company is that we can offer both the horizontal motion and the vibratory. Not every company can do that, but in Bill's case, we want the main line to be horizontal so that we don't dislodge any of the seasoning or whatever, but then that feeds into a laboratory cross feeder that allows the product to spread out and feed the scale more evenly. The other thing I'd like to say about Richmond Baking and flexibility is the way they've worked with us over the years. They have one of the oldest distribution systems in the U.S. That TNA makes. It's called a RowFlow 1. We're currently marketing RowFlow 3, which Richmond also has purchased. And I think one of the things that we do well is that we've integrated all those different models over the years so that they all work together in concert and seamlessly. So I think that's the other thing you need to think about when you're looking at a distribution line is, can I reuse what I've got? Do I have to throw everything away and start over? And one of the nice things about RowFlow is that you don't have to.
If I could add on to that, Jack, I think you make a great point because 12 years ago, we weren't in the vertical bagging business at all. We had just historically done horizontal bagging or horizontal pouching. And so we started off with a very simplistic system, if you will. We had 3 vertical baggers. I think we started maybe with some of the horizontal motion machines. And you're right. What TNA has allowed us to do is really evolve that system. So we added 3 baggers at one point. Then we added more of the distribution system. We added another 6 baggers at one point. And here recently in the last year or so, we added another 6 baggers. And then at that point, we decided it was really best for our system to go to vibratory and horizontal motion distribution, which has worked out extremely well. But key from my perspective has been TNA's ability to integrate those systems over time, like you're mentioning, Jack, because oftentimes with different equipment, we'll run into legacy systems that may not communicate well with one another, but that hasn't been the case at all. So we're able to evolve these systems as we make further investments, and not only use the newest technology, but also being able to utilize existing legacy systems, which works out really well in our situation.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Bill. And Jack, you touched upon this, but if you could elaborate, why do you think vibratory motion systems work best?
Well, let me say, going back to what Keith said, I don't want to say they work best. They work best for some situations. They're not the best for other situations. If you have a cookie or a cereal or a potato chip that has a lot of seasoning on it, barbecue on the potato chip or sugar on a cookie, the vibratory will shake that product and cause that to come off if you aren't careful, which also leads to sanitation issues in cleaning that off of the pans. Horizontal motion is much gentler on a product like that. Again, as Joaquin said, if you're running a very sticky product, like a gummy candy or something, it'll just set on an HM conveyor and not move. So you need a VM conveyor to make that product move. And again, the commercial, I guess, from Jack is that we offer both. And so we can sit down with a customer and say, okay, what's your product? How many pounds are you trying to move a minute? And design a system that works for them, whether it be HM or VM, because each one has its own unique attributes.
Thank you for that. So it's really different strokes for different folks. So it depends really on what product it is and which system you would choose. Let's focus on changeover for a minute. Bill, is changeover a big challenge with different products and considerations? And if yes, how do you deal with any pain points that arise?
Well, I can tell you changeover is critically important to our business as a general statement. We tend to run not much more than one shift of product at a time per SKU. So that may involve changes of color, changes of salt content. Sometimes we'll do different certifications, whether that's organic or kosher or whatever it may be. But with that being said, the distribution system of TNA is the least of our worries in that regard. That is the easiest portion of our line to clean, generally speaking, and generally is the fastest changeover. We can change over our whole distribution system. Oh my gosh, it'd probably be less than a half an hour pretty easily. And so, and then that would really include all parts of that distribution system. So that's really not a factor from our perspective. The other comment I would make too, I would say, and this is a little bit off the cuff, so I apologize, but I would say that the safety mechanisms that TNA integrated into the distribution system are excellent. They were very generous with the use of light curtains. And so that really helps us because obviously from a changeover perspective, you want to have that system be able to be locked out easily. You want to make sure our people are safe. And whether that's the integration of the lockouts or the light curtains, our people are very safe around the system. And that's a big deal, especially as you're in that system, maybe a few times a day.
Yeah, Yeah, safety is critical. And you mentioned earlier about cleaning, and that brings me to another question for you, actually, Joaquin, that how important do you think cleanability is in the entire scheme of things?
It is, I mean, it's very important. It's a crucial to make, as Bill was saying, if he can do his changeovers in, half an hour or less, that means that the pans, they must stay clean throughout the shift, and all he has to do is do a wipe down, when he's doing, different, um, product lines. So it is, I mean, it is very important. And we designed the systems, as he just mentioned, to simplify this changeovers by reducing obviously the maintenance issues and the product damage. So because of the way it transports and because we give him that access, he's able to do these changeovers in very minimal time.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for that. Bill, I don't think, I mean, this is for everyone, that we can have a discussion without speaking about COVID. And we've all heard and learned about the impact that the pandemic has had on business in general. But specifically for you, Bill, how has COVID-19 impacted your operations?
We saw a significant increase in our volume the first half of the year. Generally speaking, that line does a lot of products for school systems. And so we were quite concerned when COVID happened because of school shutting down. But fortunately, we were able to pivot and do a considerable amount of work for FEMA. And so because of that, we saw an anticipated spike in our demand. And so our bagging systems went from, normal levels. We probably increased 30 to 40% unexpectedly. So it was a significant increase, which, I mean, can be a good problem to have certainly, but creates its challenges as well.
Thank you for that. I have another question for you, Bill, but before, I mean, that will be my last question for you. But before we get on to that and open the floor to audience interaction, I just wanted to ask Terry, Jack, Joaquin, if you have any inputs to add at this point to the discussions here.
I think I would just like to reiterate the importance of integrating a distribution system into the rest of the line so that all of the elements are working well together. That's really important, that the whole system be controlled by a single point or a single integrated control system.
When you talk about that, I have one question, which maybe Jack, you can answer this, is why do you think it is important to integrate new and updated equipment?
Well, I would guess the foremost answer is economics. You don't want to be throwing away, a few $1,000s worth of equipment because it can't be integrated with newer equipment. So I think economics, familiarity of the equipment, the maintenance staff, all those things work into the reason to design for those backward integrations. And while I've got the floor, let me. I had one other thought. Joaquin and Bill have talked about sanitation and safety, and one of the things that we do better than anybody else is we can provide a system that is completely gateless on the distribution feeding the cross feeders. There's a very good video of it. This not only helps in sanitation, but is also a safety issue in that there's fewer moving parts and less places for product to gather and cause sanitation issues. So I think the gateless system is something that really we do well.
Okay, thank you for that. We've spoken about safety and we've spoken about efficiency. I really want to bring the conversation to convenience and efficiency for employees. Bill, how do you how does improving distribution throughout the product line help with those in terms of improving convenience and efficiency for your employees?
I think if you take a look at the whole cost of a product, the labor component of that is significant, as you can imagine. And so anytime when we can make our family members, which was what we call our employees, more efficient and safer, then we're going to have a lower overall product cost to our customers. And so when I say that, I'm talking about all the different components of the line, whether that's the cleaning, whether that's a safety, whether that's a user interface, whether that be in the bagging system or the distribution system. The changeover time, all those things really make a big difference, and not even least of which is really the ease of use of the system in its entirety, and that's where I really found TNA as a solution to really stand above all the rest. To the extent that I was even able to operate some of the equipment myself, and I'm not an operator, right? So I figure if you can teach me to do something, you can teach, a line employee to do so. And that was really impactful to me because I realized you could really bring people up to speed quickly with the overall system. And that's been really critical from a cost perspective for us.
Thank you for that, Bill. And I think I'm through with my questions, and thank you to all the panelists for not just patiently answering all of them, but also providing some very meaningful insights to our audience today. I'm going to open the floor to questions, and I think we do have a question that's come in for you, Bill. You mentioned that you reduced the height of your vertical distribution system to minimize the potential for product damage. Can you tell us a little bit about how much you resized that and what product was running on it?
Yes, so we were running at the time a bag-in-a-box cracker, so probably a 7-ounce vertical bag into a carton. And at the time, and Jack, you remember probably a little bit better than I do, I think we had switched from a vibratory package to a horizontal and vibratory package, which was allowing us to not only reduce our overall distribution height, but then also we raised our baggers up higher. Yes. So we were able to reduce the delta between those two. And we're able to achieve really on very fragile product less than 2% breakage.
Yes, and one of the things we can do with our road flow system is we don't have to have the cascade effect that some other companies do, and where pan A feeding pan B, feeding pan C has to be on a decline. So we can control the height that you need to set your baggers at in a better way than maybe someone else can.
Thank you for that. Are there any more questions? Yeah, I think I'll open it for the audience now. Anybody has any questions, please send it through the chat, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you. I think we can unmute all the microphones now. Okay, thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
So, we have recorded this session, and this recording is going to be available on this platform for anybody who wishes to come back and, go through it. Or if you miss any sessions, if you want to share this with someone, you can also do that. I think I'd like to thank all our guests today for their insights, and to everybody who joined us on this call and participated in this session. We hope that through this roundtable, we were able to demonstrate how smart distribution strategies can boost production line efficiency, flexibility, and output without, compromising on quality. If you feel you have further questions for our team, you can, engage with us via our questions, connects, and solutions button on this platform. And feel free to sign up for TNA Connects updates. And, we're very social, so you can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. As mentioned, this content will continue to be available on the TNA platform, and you can access it after our discussions end today. Please join us for our upcoming sessions this week. We will be hosting these at the same time over the next 3 days, so you can check out all the details over here. And if there are no more questions or no more feedback, I think we can end this session here. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you, Bill, for joining us today. Thank you for those insights. Thank you, Terry, Jack, Joaquin. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.